What's up, everybody? This is Carmen Disco here for the Launch Network, UIA TV. We got another awesome show today, Youth Innovation Series, show 2 of 5. We got some great guests coming on. My co-host, Juli Shively. Julie, what's happening out there?
Hi, Carmine.
Julie.
Just good things.
You're way too good at this stuff.
I'm sorry? I missed that, Carmine.
No, I was saying you were muted, and you're such a Zoom maniac. Everybody, Carmen Disco here from Launch Network. Even I forget to do that sometimes too. What's going on, Julie? What's happening up in Columbus?
Just good things. Lots of good things happening in the innovation space. I'm real excited to be here today with some of our top 10 innovators from the U.S. National Innovation Challenge that finalized this spring. And one of the things that we created for them, thank you to you and to United Inventors Association, was this youth series, which brings them directly collaborating with industry experts like our guest today, Matt Nuccio. This is something they can't get anywhere else. I mean, not without spending a fortune anyway, and then going off to lots of different places to do it. And it's just a really exciting opportunity for them and for me. I mean, I love sitting here listening. I learned a lot last week with JD Hoovener, and I expect to learn a lot today with Matt. Yeah. Thank you so much for putting this all together, Carmine.
Oh, no problem. You know, Matt has been doing a lot of stuff for the UIA. He's been on the UIA. I think his anniversary as a board member of the UIA was just the other day, 7 or so years, which is pretty awesome. By the way, JD last week was great. You're 100% right there, Julie. So let's bring on Matt. Matt is the CEO of Design Edge, which is not just a toy development firm. We'll let him kind of explain it. They kind of do everything up there. What's going on, Matt?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How you doing up there? You're in New Jersey or New York? Where are you?
New York. Don't ever confuse the two.
Hey, Matt, before we get started, I hear you're doing some, I don't know if you're allowed to talk about this, some kind of project with the Brooklyn Bridge?
Yes, kind of. Can't quite talk about that, but I've got some interesting things going on with the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm hoping to officially be able to tell people that I sold people a bridge.
That's what happened.
Oh, nice.
I knew it was kind of a secretive thing. I just wasn't sure. You know, I heard it through the grapevine.
Yes.
So cool. Tell us a little bit about.
Is very good at keeping secrets. Right?
Well, no one's listening. No one's listening. We won't tell anybody, right, guys? Well, tell us a little bit, Matt, about the background and Design Edge. I mean, you have so much history, and we don't have that much time. And I know you have some great stories, great things going on. But just tell us a little bit about the highlights.
Sure. Well, Design Edge is a 34-year-old company that specializes in designing and developing toys for toy companies all around the world. And we work with all the major toy companies: Mattel, Hasbro, Spin Master, Goliath. I mean, the list is long, and we do everything from puzzles and games to action figures to electronics to plush to dolls. All different types of toys. And we do our development here in New York. I got a whole team, and we design, engineer, prototype, make samples, cost out, and even manufacture for many toy companies.
You know, we kind of bust your chops a little bit sometimes, because of the industry you're in. You think toys, and it's a lot of fun, but the toy business is a serious business, right? There's a lot of competition. Got to be serious about it, right?
It is a business, that is for sure, and it is very competitive and fast-paced, and everyone's competing for the same shelf space and the same dollars in everybody's wallets. So there's a lot of money put into toys. People don't realize it's an entertainment. It's considered entertainment. Some of these budgets are millions and millions of dollars to get toys to market.
Wow, it's amazing. Just looking at some of the stuff behind you, what is the amount of ideas? To me, so many toys have been made and displayed and throughout the years that I know of. I mean, does anybody really come up with something that's really new that you're just like, wow?
Most toys are No, I tend to think that there's no real new. I liken it to food, actually. Let me give a better analogy. There's no new dishes, but there are variations of recipes, right? And you can change a dish intensely by how spicy you make it or how mild you make it. So, it's just a new version of an old doll and a new version of an old game. But those differences in the updates can really make something feel new when really it's just refreshed.
Yeah.
People have been playing with toys for as long as mankind's been on this planet. As early, they go back historically in archaeological digs, and they always find toys. And toys will be here long after I am.
And I want to, our panel, anybody that's on here, if you have a question, toy related, manufacturing, and that kind of covers everything. You do a lot of packaging things. He does a lot, and we'll get kind of to that. But Matt, have you seen, and from my experience, I see like a resurgence in the older type toys, not so much as the electronic type toys, but over during the virus and everybody being home, it seems like a lot of the older style toys have come back into style, so to speak. Have you seen that?
Well, board games and puzzles puzzles particularly were through the roof during COVID. 1,000% increase in sales. Board games as well. Just the whole, bringing families back to the table became something that these people seem to be getting away from for a long time. But now it's back, and it's here to stay. Games are become essential part of many families.
Wow, very cool. So let's step back a little bit. Some of the projects that you worked on. Do you do from the whole idea phase? Do companies come to you and says, we want a project, or we have maybe a movie coming out and we want to do this? Do you guys do the development, the R&D, or they have to give you the idea and then you take it from there? Or you do everything sometimes?
Yeah, so we'll go with like TV and film. Oftentimes producers will come here and they'll have us read scripts so we can get an idea of how to make something more toyetic, which means allowing it to have more play value in a toy program. So, simple things like the main characters, we feel their hair is too short. We want our hair longer so it can be braided or played with, or things like that. We're looking for key things that we know we can translate into toys.
That's cool. So sometimes you'll get to read a movie script far before the movie even comes out.
Oh yeah, so sometimes, most of the time, it never comes out. But yeah, we get to read. I've gotten to read some very interesting scripts. And it's also great to see when the movie comes out, and they've changed so much between when I read it and when it came out.
That's really cool. You got any questions about toys or anything from any of the panelists up there? Any of you guys have any questions, or manufacturing, or?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, man.
So what's like you and your team's like source of creativity, and how do you stay creative whenever you're trying to come up with ideas like for toys?
Well, we are creative for a living, so we don't have the chance to wait till inspiration hits us. So oftentimes we'll be in the conference room or in the main part of the studio just with a ream of paper, pack of Sharpies, and just bouncing off each other, similar to like what you would see in a writer's room for like a sitcom or something. It's just, spitballing, as they say, ideas off of each other, and then trying to figure out like, not only are they good ideas, but can they be translated into something that can be manufactured? So it's really just a lot of rapid fire response. And Carmine spent some time with me. He knows it's a certain personality. You have to be very quick on your toes. We don't get 6 weeks to work on something. I get 6 hours. So it's move as fast as you can, and just come in with a bag of tricks, and you exit with a bigger bag of tricks. You learn something with every new project.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. Sometimes you don't have the benefit of days or hours or months, because even when you have an idea, right, Matt, it takes a long time to implement that idea, test it. Sometimes you're making molds or prototypes, and that could be a long time, right?
Yeah, oftentimes, the whole process can take 9 months to a year, and then with the larger toy companies, 2 years. But the seedlings of the ideas, the rough concepts, that's 2 weeks out of that whole time. That's including approvals and whatnot.
Cool. So I had another question come in. what are some of the main challenges of bringing toys to market? Or there are all kinds of?
There are all kinds of challenges. You know, obviously the biggest challenge, of course, is it fun? You know, nobody wants a toy that's not fun. Does it check enough things to be fun? You know, we don't want something that's just referred to as a look at me toy. We don't want something that just looks cool and you put it on your shelf and that's that. It has to be, the value has to translate into, you know, multiple plays and, you know, value to its dollar. And then of course, costing is a big thing. You can, if you have an unlimited budget, you can make anything, right? But the consumers don't have an unlimited budget. So I can't design a toy that costs $400. You know, I often say and joke around, but I believe it's true, is that, you know, if you design something for the rich, you eat with the poor. If you design something for the poor, you eat with the rich. So you really need to design something for everybody, something that anybody can get their hands on.
Wow. Really, really true. It's funny because just to date myself, you know, you probably get this all the time from the movie Big, you know, when they were in the conference room talking about like, who wants to play with the building?
Yeah. It's not fun. Right. It's true.
It's got to be fun. Do you usually do that? You know, have a potential market, that potential age group or things like that come in and test things, or were you just like, man, this is it?
We do that in certain categories of toys, but not in all. There's a certain, once you get to past a certain age with children, it becomes difficult because they'll either freeze up or they'll tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very difficult to just throw some kids in a room behind a two-way mirror because they're out of place. You know, but some of the larger toy companies, like we work with Fisher Price, they actually have a daycare center that they'll watch all the employees' kids all the time. And they put prototypes and, you know, test products in there all the time, just by leaving it in the corner and seeing who picks it up and what they do with it. But I don't have that benefit. You know, most of my employees are single, and I'm not going to urge them to have children just to get toys.
No, that's good, because if they do, then, you know, then they won't be working too much more. No, all good. We got other questions coming in. So, well, one quick question: do you help people, like, say, get it all the way through and patent the toys, or do you kind of have a patent attorney you'll push them to?
You know, I know a bunch of patent attorneys. You know, they ring my doorbell quite often. I have a patent attorney that I use all the time, and you know, we design everything for the patent attorneys. But, you know, obviously I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not doing the patenting itself. But yes, we're very involved in the patenting process.
Now, and we'll get to the next question, just on my benefit. Some of the toys that are probably, I want to say, time sensitive, they might only be on the shelf for 6 months or a year, or those kind of things where you say, hey, you shouldn't really, not you personally, but maybe not patent this, maybe get a design or provisional, because some products aren't really going to be on
the majority of the toy industry is a fashion-based industry, and patenting is not exactly lightning fast. So the majority of the time, it doesn't make sense to file for a patent unless there's a technology in that product that can be implemented into other categories or may have value again down the road. But if you're doing, you know, some dolls that are only going to be out for a year, and that's that, by the time your patent is awarded, that doll has been off the market for years. So it's really not always worth it.
No, that's great information, because a lot of times, even myself, we think the first step, we have to get a patent real quick, we have to do this. But sometimes, as you said, a product that has a certain lifespan, maybe just get it to market, do a good job in the production.
Well, in general, though, I always like to urge people to wait on the patenting. In general, obviously, do everything undercover and don't let anyone know what's going on. But wait till you have your prototypes and you've solved all of your problems. And even better yet, if you can get all your costing and you have all your proverbial ducks in a row, then file patents. Because all too often, I'm approached by inventors who have a patent who've never made a prototype. And then as soon as we get into it, we're like, this isn't even doable. I don't even know how you got a patent. You know, there's not, you know, or it needs to be significantly changed for it to achieve a certain price point. Now that person has to go back and add to their patent and whatnot. So they're already $10,000 deep, and by the time they get a prototype done after the fact, now they're $20,000 deep.
Yeah, and that's the biggest important thing, is to follow the right sequence in inventing any product, not just toys.
Mm-hmm.
So, So we have another question. How is technology like smartphones and game consoles and things like that affected the toy industry, and how have you dealt with that? Have you seen an effect from electronics, obviously, phones and smartphones and tablets and things like that?
Yeah. And the funny thing is, everyone always thinks it's like they're gonna be like weep or cry about that, but I made a heck of a lot of Angry Birds toys.
Yeah.
These are properties too. It's they have play value, and the television didn't replace the radio, so these things they will coexist and they will promote each other.
Wow. Yeah. And do you guys work with, say, somebody has an idea for a game on a phone or things like that? Have you worked with that type of stuff, or is it just maybe like just hard toys in your hand type thing?
We have worked on that sort of stuff. That is not where I like to focus. It's a very difficult end of the business. There's a million, if not 10 million app companies that are pumping these things out for free all the time. So there's no real marketplace for them at the moment. Early on, like when Angry Birds came out or Doodle Jump and all that sort of stuff, there was more potential, but it seemed to have imploded. So, although I've worked with, last year I was working with a company trying to get a movie made called Pixonic, who had an app called War Robots, and that app did $1 million a day in revenue.
Wow. Man, the toy industry is pretty competitive, huh?
Yes.
Now there's organizations the toy industry has, right? Different types of organizations. Do you belong to some of those?
Well, yes, I belong to two, particularly the Toy Association, which is our trade group. They're the ones who lobby and then make sure that everything's copacetic and that safety regulations are up to snuff. Or right now arguing to try to get shipping costs down, as you're aware, is a problem. I also sit on the People of Play, which was formerly known as Chicago Toy and Game Group. I sit on their board of advisors, which is fantastic, and that is an inventor friendly show. That's a show built for helping people try to edge their way into the toy industry and to meet the real players within the industry.
Wow, that's really cool. So we had some more questions come in, and some of them you may be a little bit long. To bring a toy from concept through to market, are there specific steps they have to do? Obviously, there's many, but are there specific ones that they should not miss or skip?
Wow, I mean, I have to list out every step to figure out how
there's so much. That's why I
how
was.
to answer that. But I mean, are we talking about someone who wants to invent a toy and bring it to a toy company, or are we talking?
Yeah, I think they said to bring it to a toy store. Is there? And that's the other. I guess before you even answer that, is it worth it to go to some of these toy stores now? Is it better to bring a toy online? Because it doesn't seem like there's that many large toy stores like there used to be.
Well, the two coexist and they support each other. So while you think, wow, Toys R Us disappeared. When Toys R Us disappeared, many large retailers greatly increased their footage of aisles that sell toys. If you're an individual and you're trying to launch a toy on your own, you want to start a toy company, then this is the greatest time in history to do that, because you can design a toy, get it properly made. If you do due diligence, you work with the right people, and someone can check all the boxes to make sure that it's being done correctly, you can come up with one item, sell it online, and make a living, and maybe even become a real big toy company someday. While 20 years ago, there was no way to do that. You weren't going to walk into Walmart and tell them that they needed to take your toy. You had to go from one small mom and pop shop to the next and slowly build a company, which could take years.
Wow. Yeah. So times are changing. That's kind of great how technology does that.
Mm-hmm.
For some toys, are there safety type regulations that you have to implement?
No safety regulations.
Guns. We put guns in there.
Guns, razor blades, all that stuff's all free to use. Yes, there's many regulations. We are heavily regulated industry to the point that even before we go to manufacturing, we have things tested to make sure that the designs are correct, and then before they get shipped, obviously everything's tested.
Very cool.
But just doing this for a long time, we know what to design around or be careful about. But you can never know everything, so that's why these big labs exist that will try every little thing they can.
Wow. Yeah. Jonathan, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Is there any advice that you have for young startups that are trying to get into the manufacturing space for a product that they have?
Yeah. Really, you work with the right people. Make sure that your manufacturing costs are where they're supposed to be. Understand where your margins are supposed to be, and be realistic. Go shopping, see what's out there, see what comparable items sell for. I meet a lot of people who think that their idea is so great that they can sell for 4 times what it's worth. That never works. A $19 item looks like a $19 item. It's because you made it, it doesn't mean it's worth more. And distribution. Find a company that can really handle your Amazon, your Walmarts, or a good Shopify. It's not something that you can just throw up there and people are going to run to. That's a complicated business unto itself. So if you're coming up with a great idea and you want to launch it, figure out what you want to do. Do you want to be a guy who manages Amazon all day? Do you want to focus on product development going forward? Do you want to oversee manufacturing? Where's your strength, and build a team around you. You can't be a one-man band in this industry.
Cool. Hey, Ranjit, do you have a question about prototyping you want to ask her?
Yeah, I do. I was just wondering, what are some of the tools that you use when prototyping? Like, have you used 3D printing or 3D modeling software before stepping into mass manufacturing?
Absolutely. That and anything and everything. Depends on what phase of prototyping it is. I will duct tape toilet paper rolls together if it's theory. We start as basic as we can, and then we refine until it's something that's manufacturable. Yes, and then 3D software, absolutely. That's what we build tooling from. So we do that.
When 3D, and Matt, real quick, I have some other questions coming in. When 3D printing first came out, was that something that you implemented quickly, or you kind of waited a little while to see if it?
Well, here's the weird thing about 3D printing. It's not the new technology that everybody thinks it is. It was invented in 1984. It really hasn't really changed that much other than the processing speeds. We were early to adapt like MakerBots when they first became affordable. Early on, it became more important, not for prototyping, because to this day I can hand sculpt something faster than I can 3D model it and print it. But when it comes to tooling, when we need to be very precise, more for the engineering purposes than for the proof of concept. In fact, I think a lot of times it's a waste of effort for proof of concept to spend all that time 3D modeling and printing something, when you could really, like I said, go to the toy store and Frankenstein something together, rip the head off of this and use the tail end of that and take the wheels off of this and just make sure that what you're thinking about will work. You got to tinker. You can't. It's hard to tinker when you're 3D modeling because you're all hung up on the process of 3D modeling.
Yeah, I think we have Casey has a question also. Casey, you're muted though.
Yeah, so my question is, for your through personal experience, do you think it's better for more popularity in a store, even though even if you don't really have many products in there? Or would you rather be a store with not much popularity, but a lot of items and a lot of variety? So I'm still pondering between both of them, and I don't know which one is better because, I was just wondering about it.
Well, I think what you're really stating, that's a good observation, and I would I'll put different definitions on what you're saying. Is it better to be a small boutique store that everybody sort of loves, opposed to a large mass market store which has a ton of toys in there but no real charm to it? They have their advantages and disadvantages, but if you're launching a toy and you're a small toy company, it's really those mom and pop boutique stores that you want to get in with, because they're the ones who walk around the store and see customers and ask them how they're doing today. And we'll pull out a toy and say, have you seen this? Have you heard about this? And this is trending and whatnot. Well, Walmart and Target really is just endless rows of movie promoted and very big brands. So I have this place in my heart actually for more of the mom and pops. In fact, next week I'll be in Minneapolis for the American Specialty Toy Retail Association show, which is where all the mom and pops and boutique stores go to buy their toys for this holiday season.
Wow, very cool. Hey, Matt, we got a couple minutes left. Real quick, is there any movies that you've done toys for that you're able to mention?
All the Avenger movies, Star Wars, you think any Disney princess movie? Yeah, there's a lot. There's a long list. Yeah,
That's
to the
amazing.
point where I forget. Well, sometimes I'll be like, I've never seen this movie before. My kid's like, you did the slip and slide for it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I did.
Oh yeah. Well, it's kind of hard for you to remember. I mean, when you treat these as a project, and you're just happy sometimes when the project's done, and you don't have time to reflect. Probably you're probably moving on to the next project instantly.
Well, my favorite, one of my favorite things is when we get briefed on what's coming down the road from Disney or whatnot, and I'm like, wow, that's going to be really cool. And then I look at the timeline, and it's like coming out in 2028. I'm like, wow, it's amazing how far out they plan.
That is. Wow. Hey, Jonathan, you have another question?
Yes, sir. So how do you vet like potential partners or like manufacturers whenever you're trying to assure that if they do something for you, it'll be quality work?
Practice. I've been doing it so long. I have these vendors, and I have relationships with them to the point where I know the owner of the factory, their son, their grandfather. We've done dinner many times. We've traveled, and also besides the friendship, we also do decent amount of business with them. So there's always a project behind it, which is another reason why I think if you're making something on your own, you're probably better working through an agent than going onto like Alibaba and finding some random factory that will disappear on you if there's any headaches.
Yes. Join the UIA and we'll help you.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
Can I just reiterate that when Carmine says join the UIA, excuse me, United Inventors Association, it is free for you guys to do. And if you haven't done that, you should go on their website and join them. And that really is what they're setting out to do, is to help innovators. And most recently is to start helping young innovators along that path to help advise you and to do the best they can to keep you away from those types of organizations that will take your money and fly. So.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Thank you, Julie. I always forget to say that. It's free to be a member.
I'll Carmine around. And
Matt, if you have time for another question, I have one.
I have time.
So for the National Innovator Challenge this year we opened it up to more than just inventions. We had apps, ideas, and inventions. And we had several people with very cool apps, none of which were toys or what I would call toy-based apps, but they really were more save the world kind of apps type things, if I had to quantify them. So with what you said earlier, that there really isn't, I guess I'm just wondering, is there a place that those folks can go to try to seek specific advice on making their app better, how to market an app? I'm assuming it's different than marketing a toy. Do you know, where would you send somebody if your 14-year-old said, Dad, I've got this great app idea, who should I talk to?
Ooh, that is a tricky one.
There's such a different thing, and they're so new to think about. There's just not a big structure out there to help.
No, I don't really have an answer for that. I guess it's kind of like, assume I'm a restaurant. You're asking me 1,000 questions about restaurants, and then you're asking me where's the best place to farm. I don't know.
Yeah, I understand. Just thought I would give it a shot. You might have had some.
Yeah, I wish I did. And then an apps are also different. So some of
I
them,
know that UIA is looking for an ambassador in that area, and I think that will help going forward too.
Certainly, certainly will.
So, real quick, let me jump in. Florian, you have a question?
Okay, so what are some of the toughest rules and regulations from other countries that you've had to deal with? Because you design toys, and I'm guessing you probably sell some overseas too.
Yes, yes. So, materials, because there are certain types of plastics or softening agents and whatnot that are legal in some countries and illegal in other countries. So we have to be very aware of that. So it's really that's the main thing. We don't want to ship something to a country that's got a banned material, then they'll destroy it.
Wow. Yeah. I
Thank
can
you.
see that being a material being a big problem. Yeah. Cool. Ranjit, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. I was just wondering, how do you, like, if you're trying to create a product and let's say you maybe don't have, or like you don't have, your employees don't have like the proper skill set, or you need to reach out to someone, how do you go about reaching out to people with more knowledge than you to get help on creating a certain toy?
Well, everybody I talk to has more knowledge than me, but that's how you be. I think that's how you get successful. Right? You work with people that are more talented than you. Depends on what it is. There's this a pool of people that I can turn to for that sort of thing. Usually, even if it's something my team doesn't do, I know somebody already that would specialize in that. So it's really it's a who you know sort of thing. You just have to talk to a lot of people, figure it out. If there's a problem that you don't understand, you got to figure out what is that problem. If it's a safety problem, then you want to find a safety lab. If it's an app, you want to talk to some app developers. If it's something about design and engineering, you want to talk to the designer. If you've got a marketing issue, you want to find somebody who's in marketing. So it's identifying people that are strong in those areas.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Very cool. Casey, you have a question?
Yeah, how do you do market research?
How do we do market research? Well, we pay, it's a fashion business, so we just pay attention to what's going on and where the trends are going. And we do get data. We get data from all sorts of areas, NPD data, which is sales data. We get marketing data from different marketing departments of large toy companies, as well as the Toy Industry Association also releases data on what trends are going up and down. And those trends are not just, kids like pink, it's also what materials are trending and what styles are going or what movies are doing well. There's all sorts of data. So,
It's a good question. Good question. All right. Any other questions, or we're going to start closing up the show? We've taken up Matt's time. Hey, Matt, I have a question for you, though, if there's any other questions that come in before that. Not that you can have a favor because you don't want to get anybody mad at you, but do you have a toy that's more memorable to you that you guys created?
You would think so. I mean, I'm always looking to the future. I don't really look back because, again, like I said, it's a very lean forward sort of business. So I don't want to lean back and hang my hat on something that I did 5, 10, 20 years ago. Although there are many toys that we have worked on that have been very successful, and people like to bring them up, but they just seem like a lifetime ago to me. So it's it's where you're going, not where you're coming from.
Yeah, the toy industry seems like it is a very fast-moving industry.
Yes, it is absolutely very fast because not only is the product cycles fast, but the audience is short-lived, right? You're only 4 years old for 1 year. You know what I mean? So,
well, you have some young adults that are they interested in the toy industry?
my kids, yes, they are, and they're although I think they live in a strange world because it's dad plays with toys and grandpa plays with toys and grandma plays with toys and I think they don't realize that most people stop playing with toys at some point.
Very cool, man. All right, well, we're going to start hanging up this show today. If anybody else has any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we will thank Mr. Nuccio for his time today. Thank you very much. Great information, Matt. Is there a way, if any of these guys have a backup question, they can get in touch with you, or they should go through Juli, or what's best?
I mean, they could email me at matt@designers.net, or probably the best way is if mean, you guys are young, so I doubt you're on LinkedIn, but if you happen to be on LinkedIn, you can follow me.
Yeah.
I put Matt's website in the chat for you.
Well,
In case
great.
you want to follow along and watch what his company does and check out new things that come his way that you can be aware of. Thanks so much, Matt. We really appreciate your time today and your expertise.
Well, thank you. This was a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, thank everyone that's listening out on YouTube for the second of the Youth Innovation series. It's been a great show. And next week, Julie, I think we have Lexa Gandolfo from Designs, or ACG Designs. That's it. Lexa's
And
awesome.
George Peters.
Oh, George is coming on too. I thought it was.
They're both coming on. So this will be a good
great.
look at two people in that innovation space, two inventors, and they'll be able to talk about some of the things they ran into and some of the successes and challenges they had as well.
Yeah. George is great from Kettle Pizza too. So I didn't know they were both on. That's going to be a good show.
It's gonna be a good show.
Very cool. All right, so we'll hang up the show. I thank everyone for listening today. I'm going out to uiausa.org, and if you are not a member, become a member. It is free, please. And if you go on out to our YouTube page, UIA TV, please make certain that you follow us on YouTube and everywhere else. We thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time on UIA TV. You all